everybody, I'm Cara Green, and I'm here for another virtual visit with Jim Tempesta at Alternativa Solutions, which is another business in downtown Cumberland. So interestingly enough, Jim is part of the reason why we are even doing some of these virtual visits. He came into my office, about a year ago now, with a problem that needed a solution. We wanted to get people into businesses without physically getting people into businesses. So here we are now with a little bit more experience with Zoom and Facebook Live and the like with these virtual visits to get you guys a little glimpse into what it is that downtown Cumberland is up to. So Jim, how about you introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Thanks, Cara. Yeah, my name is Jim Tempesta. My business is called Alternativa Solutions. And very simply, we help people find alternative assets they can buy to protect and grow their money. And that's we are a service business, and we've been in Cumberland for a little over 4 years.
So I know you do a lot, and a lot of what you do is maybe something that people would think of in a larger city. So what is it that made you choose to come to Cumberland to start your business?
You know, I'll be the fourth generation of my family that has a business on Main Street. And I have stayed connected with people that I grew up with in the 70s and 80s in Cumberland throughout the last 30 years while I was living and working in other places in Minnesota and Florida. And at a time where my parents were reaching a point where they needed help, I decided to move back to Cumberland. In doing so, I transitioned a couple of different things that I was doing into this business so I could help literally the people that I grew up with and become familiar with over the last 30 years. Because I felt that Cumberland needed my type of service where you can't typically go out and find the things that we do other than in a big city like Minneapolis or beyond.
That's very cool. We're very happy that you brought your skills back to us. You know, it's part of what makes Cumberland a really cool community is that so many people have moved away but then brought their skills back so that they can benefit everybody here. So, you know, the coronavirus is probably a good reason why we're doing this because we're trying to get people into businesses without literally getting them in. So how has the coronavirus pandemic impacted what you do?
You know, the coronavirus pandemic actually turned out to be a real validation of why our business is here. If you think about it, what happened with the coronavirus is that it literally shut down the entire global economy. And for 30 days plus, people are wondering what the heck was going to happen. All of a sudden, the stock market fell, and things looked pretty bleak for quite a long time. And one of the things that I do is help people buy and own physical gold and silver. And if you happen to be familiar with gold and silver, it tends to work as a safe haven asset because it is literally the world's oldest type of currency. It's very safe to own. And so when the stock market fell, people were clamoring to buy something safe they know that they could hold the value of their money. And so we saw a meteoric rise in our business because people really wanted to alleviate some of the risk in their retirement money or their personal wealth, and so the sales of our physical gold and silver went through the roof.
So you say sales of gold and silver. We're not talking like a we buy your gold business, right? Like,
no.
You know, somebody shouldn't come to you to pawn
No,
stuff.
In fact, I have a cute story. When I opened my business, this young man came in and he asked me if I could buy his engagement ring that apparently wasn't going to be used for his proposal. So no, we don't buy gold and silver that way. We actually sell physical gold and silver coins and bars for investment reasons. In fact, I have an example. Here's an old 1800s 1 ounce gold piece. And we sell this kind of gold. It's collectible gold. We also sell different types of silver that can be stored inside an IRA. We do self-directed IRAs to help people take a portion of their IRA money and move it into something they really want to own on their own. Here's another example of, this is a silver 10-ounce bar. So these are the actual things that we do. We sell the actual physical product that people can hold in their possession.
Wow, that makes you really unique in this town, because a lot of people, when they think of retirement, they think of just, well, I've got like a 401k and my employer just sort of takes care of it.
Right.
So when they want to take matters in their own hands, they should come see you for some alternative solutions to saving for retirement.
That's exactly right. And the reason I got into this business, Cara, is that personally, I went through the dot-com bubble burst and then went through the financial recession. And I had a retirement plan from a former industry that I was relying on, and then I saw half of it just vanish into thin air. At the same time, I was starting another business, and I learned that you can actually take part of your money and self-direct it away from traditional financial market money managers. And so that was an important learning lesson for me. And just having the ability to take control over your own retirement money and put it into something that you want, other than into some financial market stock certificate or mutual fund or bond, you do have the opportunity to balance it out of that. So when there's trouble in the financial markets, you can say, hey, listen, I don't want my house to burn down. I want to have some physical insurance I can hold in my hand. And that's exactly what we do. We work with some of the largest companies across the country to make that happen. But they can first come in and talk to me, tell me about their situation. We can look at what types of investments they have, and more importantly, I can bring them into something very simply and very quickly and effectively.
Yeah, because you've worked in the cities, and so you have a whole lot of connections all over the country. So it's not just like you're just a little guy here reaching
Right.
out, grasping at straws. You've got some connections. And so
Now we have IRA custodial companies that we work with across the country. We have facilities that we can actually store physical gold and silver at, and we also have people that we work with very closely to actually supply the physical gold and silver. So things do happen out of this office, but it's not all located here.
no, you can feel like you're getting a nice personal connection because they come in and they talk right to you.
Yeah, it's nice because people can come in and sit down and they can talk about their situation, but more importantly, they don't have to go to the big city to meet with somebody. They can just come here, and we have a potpourri of different types of alternative assets that can give some people that sense of comfort that they have different types of things going for them. They're not just relying on their financial advisor with the same old types of assets that they're used to buying.
Kind of a cookie cutter portfolio where
Right.
you can do a lot of different things for
Yep,
them. I think one thing maybe we haven't touched on is the bad debt that people can use to invest.
Yeah, no, that's another great example of an alternative asset. So what we do with bad debt is, if you can imagine, let's say somebody walks into a Best Buy store and they want to buy a new refrigerator, and they can't come up with $1,000, so they put it on an installment loan. And so what happens if that person can't pay back that installment loan at a nominal interest rate, that debt will be held by the company and then eventually sold off if they can't collect it direct from the consumer. So that debt will be sold off for literally pennies on the dollar to a debt buyer. And a debt buyer then takes that and then can collect upon that through a third-party collection agency. And so where the opportunity is for people coming to visit with us is they literally can invest in this bad debt, which is bought for pennies on the dollar, and let our management company collect on it for months, several months at a time. And what we end up doing is returning a profit that's much higher than typical financial market returns are. And so in a robust economy with a lot of credit and really a credit crisis, there's billions of dollars of debt. And our collection agencies do a nice job of working out solutions with the consumers. You may have heard horror stories about collection agencies beating down the doors of people to pressure them to get their money, and that's all regulated now. But really, there's workout plans for people to get out from underneath their debt so they can lead productive lives. And the company that we work with does a great job of doing that. But at the same time, we can help them our clients make money in the process, which is become very lucrative. And I've worked in this industry for about 20 years.
So you've been here 4 years. You've been in the industry that specifically for about 20 years. I mean, you've been doing this a long time. You have a lot of knowledge, but I'm sure you still have some goals for what you'd like to see happen with your business, or maybe even just in Cumberland in general.
You know, I love the idea of having a business located in Cumberland because I believe there's a lot of opportunity for variety and breadth of service. If you notice, in the last year or two, there's been different types of retailers that have come in to expand their services. And, you know, I really I applaud everyone that comes into Cumberland and stays in Cumberland to live and work. And really, you know, we're a fun place to visit and a place to play, but we're also a place to stay. We got an outstanding school system, and really, if you think about it, something for everyone. And I think that's really reflected in the businesses. And so what I'd like to see is continued services that come into town to offer something so people don't have to drive out of the city. You know, you don't have to drive to Eau Claire, Minneapolis for what you need, you know, if we have it all right here. And, you know, this pandemic has made people really accountable for their businesses, and I think now we're seeing more services open up because people are turning to different reasons for being in business. Personally, with Alternativa Solutions, you know, I would love to be able to reach more people across the entire state. You know, our business is national right now. We've been selling things like physical gold and silver for people across the country for close to 10 years. But what I really want to do is to have more of a regional presence with our business, so that we're reaching people in Superior, over in Hudson, down in Eau Claire, and as we grow and our education formats grow, we want to host more lunch and learns or coffee, breakfast, educational seminars, so people really understand the intricacies of what we do. And what we do isn't that complicated. You know, I can literally sit down with you for 10 minutes and talk about the aspect of owning physical gold and silver. Because of what it is, we can come up with some pretty simple product solutions, and within a day we can have funds bank wired to us or a check made out to us, and then within a week you can have physical gold or silver delivered to your doorstep. But so if we can do that very quickly over the phone or in our office, you know, we can certainly reach out and do that within the entire state. So those are, the reason we got into this business, the reason I started this business, is to help people like me who had really no clue or idea of what to do with retirement money, and knowing that a lot of people have retirement money stuck in the same places. You know, my mission and my goal really, and my passion, is to bring the word out to the street to say, hey, listen, you don't have to do this all one way. You can carve out a little piece of your money. You can protect yourself when times get rough, like this coronavirus that took down the financial markets. It's happened. It's going to happen again with something else. So that's what our real mission is, to get the word out that, you know, there are alternatives for your money. So if you think about a house, you wouldn't own a house without insurance. And if you think about the tragedy of a house fire would be, and if your house goes up in fire and it's gone and you have no way to recoup the value of that, think about your financial markets and think about the retirement accounts. If something happens, you'd have to wait for years to rebuild that nest egg. And so the old adage, don't have all your eggs in one basket, really is what we preach, is that you don't have to have all your eggs in one basket. You can buy physical insurance for your money, much like your home insurance you would have for your home. So,
well, that's very cool, because I think, and maybe just it was coming from a small town, but I know a lot of people my age just think it just sort of is what it is. You get a good job, maybe they have a retirement plan, maybe you're successful enough to be able to sort of buy into it, and then you just sort of start from there. You know, there isn't really a whole lot known about these alternative solutions that you have. So I hope that you're very successful in getting the word out there, because I think there's a lot of people from small towns who just simply don't know, and they think they're kind of at the mercy of the stock market, because that's just sort of what they've been told their whole lives.
Yeah, nobody's going to come out and talk to them in high school or even in college about, well, if you're going to make investment choices, here's what you should think about doing. We're not taught to try different things, because trying different things sometimes is scary and risky. But, you know, physical gold and silver have been around for thousands of years. That used to be the standard currency in the world, and people would trade goods and services for physical gold and silver because it actually represented a denomination. You know, like the $20 gold coin is only less than 100 years old, and if you think about that, the currencies of yesteryear now still hold this value, because if you think about why this is happening, the government and the Federal Reserve are printing trillions of dollars of money, and we're incurring all this debt. And this debt is piling up. And so the strength of the financial market is based on growth. But we see this tricky ledge that we're walking on with this money supply and the economics, and we're not seeing the growth that we once did. And so everyone bets on the stock market to have growth, and anytime that's challenged, then people pour their money into physical gold and silver. So it's not as risky and scary as you think it is. It's a stable asset. It fluctuates in value, but over the long haul, it's a great way to protect your money.
Well, I hope we've done a good job about letting you guys all know about what it is that Jim does here at Alternativa Solutions, because I think, and just in talking to people in the community, that it was kind of unknown about what you were doing here, because it is something that I think a lot of people wouldn't expect to have in their little tiny town. But the more I learn about these businesses in town, the more I realize that there are a ton of skilled people here who have gone away and come back with those skills and really established something really great to offer to the community. So we are definitely grateful for you for doing that.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you this morning. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you to all you guys for joining us today. You can find Jim online at Alternativa Solutions, or you can simply search for him on Facebook. And I believe, too, you shared this link. So if you go to the Chamber of Commerce page, you should be able to find his post on our page through this event. So also, if anybody that you know wants to be part of our virtual visits, please just have them reach out to the Chamber of Commerce and let us know. We'll be doing these Tuesdays at 10 a.m. until we have no more interest in doing them, or maybe that we've shown you all of Cumberland. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.